This episode is brought to you by Shopify. Whether you're selling a little or a lot, Shopify helps you do your thing, however you cha-ching. From the launch your online shop stage, all the way to the we just hit 1 million orders stage. No matter what stage you're in, Shopify's there to help you grow. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/special offer, all lowercase. That's shopify.com/special offer.
This episode is brought to you by Bumble. So, you want to find someone you're compatible with, specifically someone who's ready for a serious connection, totally open to having kids in the future, is a tall, rock-climbing Libra, and loves rom-coms with vegan pizzas on Tuesdays just as much as you do. Bumble knows that you know exactly what's right for you. So whatever it is you're looking for, Bumble's features can help you find it. Date now on Bumble.
Welcome to Her Extraordinary Life by Design, where we celebrate women who are shaping their lives one extraordinary day at a time. I'm your host, Leslie Gaudet, self-care coach for women who are ready to make self-care a priority to support them in life and business. Every week, I'll be speaking with inspiring women from various walks of life who will share their personal journeys and will discover how they have fearlessly carved their own paths as business owners, passionately pursuing their dreams and creating a meaningful impact on their communities. So let's get started. Hello, and welcome to Her Extraordinary Life by Design podcast. I'm your host, Leslie Gaudet, and today we're talking with Simone Bueno. Simone has been a filmmaker since 2008 who has worn many hats in the industry. In 2020, she shifted her focus to empowering moms and small business owners to create impactful videos. Overcoming her camera shyness, Simone now shares her knowledge through personal training, helping women feel confident on camera. With 25 plus years of web development experience, she effectively teaches beginners to edit engaging videos using their mobile phones. What sets Simone apart is her commitment to values, building a business that aligns with her priorities, spending quality time with her kids while indulging in her passion for storytelling, video production, and supporting fellow moms. I'm really looking forward to this conversation, so let's get started. Welcome, Simone. I'm so happy to have you on the show today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah. So before we get started, I like to get to know my guests on a little bit of a deeper level. So please tell us a little bit more about Simone, the woman. Who are you? The personal side of your story, and then we'll talk more about what you do.
All right. So we all have like many layers, right? That's how our story is about, because the way we live our life is the way we're going to be shaping. But it's very interesting that now when I just was back from Brazil in late December and early January, and I was revisiting old things, old books, old notes that I had. And I realized that at a point in my life that was 3 years ago, it's something that I had a desire since early age on the creative side, on the wanted to do something more. I was like having this idea to look for, like a forward. And sometimes I hear from studying my beliefs and things, I love astrology and I'm Sagittarian. So as Sagittarius, they have this arrow, always looking forward and always looking for a target. So I think through my life, I always look for something more. I always was ready to learn. And I have many experiences in my life that reflect that. When I remember a good job that I had before I started with the web development, so it was over 25 years ago, and I had this opportunity to start learning and start engaging with the web. I was a designer, a graphic designer, and I was entering in the web space. And when my manager, I went to talk to him about the proposal, and he said, well, I really like your job. I could offer a higher pay for you to stay, but I already see that you are meant for more. So I'm not going to stop you. If I pay you more, I'm going to hold you for an amount of time. But I know you're going to come back here in a little while and you're going to have something else to go. So I'm going to let you go. And that was wonderful. And that's always helped me to, whatever you do, I look for that. And for a very long time, I have on my Facebook bio, on a personal page, I always had this phrase, always ready to learn something new. And that's how Simone, the woman is, the mom is. It's always ready to learn from her kids, hours to learn from different female entrepreneur or inspirational speaker. I'm always ready to learn. And I love how I can inspire and also help other women and moms get inspired when I share a little bit of my stories. So that's how I see how important it is for us to be sharing our stories and how that we impact and involve other people on their own stories.
Yeah, I love that. I think there is always that beginning part to our path, like what started us down the road, like that fork in the road, and which direction do we turn? Do we go right? Do we go left? What do we decide? And whichever decision we make leads us down whatever path that we've decided. We don't know how it's going to turn out, but what's really great is having that, I guess, courage. Because it can be really hard when you come to that fork in the road to make a decision. What am I going to do? Like your boss was saying to you, hey, I could pay you more money to stay. And I value what you do. I know you're good at what you do. But I know that if I do that, I'm just going to hold you back from making that decision of which way you're going to go, like which direction you're going to go, because there's more for you. So I love that. You have an extensive background in filmmaking and video production. So when did you first realize that you wanted to help others tell their stories through online video?
So I studied doing pre-production for films. And then I started getting involved in a project. The way it happened, I ended up being involved with the cinematography. And then with that, I started seeing stories in a different way because I was seeing how people will light up, like when working a documentary, how people light up when they were telling about the experience that they live with the person, like, because we'll go to a place and interview somebody to talk about somebody else, because we're doing this artist life story. And then we'll interview people that were involved through the process. This is 50 years of story. And then we would just gonna ask, the director would ask simple question and I would see in the camera, because they weren't interested in talking about themselves. They were interested in talking about the experience, the way they're living. And then it was so beautiful. But a little before that, I already had interest in working with moms and helping mom-owned business to share their story, to make on a different view, how people always have these videos, business video, always focus on the business, always focus on the service. But I wanted to focus on the story of the business, on what make you do what you do, what inspire you, or make you keep trying, even when it's a hard time. And when I was really getting into that, preparing to go and advertise and do that, the pandemic came. So that I do have a project that I started working with that business owner. We did study with them, little project. I ended up just doing a little short for her page, for her website. But I have part of the story that I still need to finish. And that was wonderful because that's really shaped the moment that I got that. And then the pandemic came. I still had this thirst to help others share the story. And then I was going online and I was like just doing this social media, posting and encouraging just with kind of like pictures or like just words. And then I realized, well, I asking people to tell a story, to share stories, to come on camera and sharing that, but I'm not doing that. Then I realized that the fact that I wanted somebody to do something that was so different and the way they were doing about the business, I should start doing that about my business too. So when I started doing this, I realized how much more I could help other people share the stories. And not only business stories, I realized how much when we bring our experience, our life stories inside of our business page, how much we get this authentic connection, how much people will differentiate getting or buying from you through the other person, because they're going to start remember you for something that you told them, or because you like black coffee. You don't drink coffee with sugar, mundane stuff. People might say, oh, my story is boring. My story that my life is not interesting. I have a boring life. But simple things that you can share. And they're going to say, oh, I want to buy a candle. I I remember Simone was selling the candle, and Simone, she drinks black coffee just like me. So things they're going to relate, they're going to make things, they're going to remember you. So that's when you bring the little stories, the little experience about your life inside of a business. And I work a lot of this on the online space. On outside the online space, I connect with people on sharing their stories and making video or shorts, whatever I do. I did a little short listing. It's 20 minutes shorts with moms last year when I assemble a few questions and I grab different moms to talk about it. And I assemble a short film that's right now it's on YouTube. I still want to do more with that short. But when we see how much people you connect those stories. I think, I don't remember now, if for like 5 or 7 women, I need to go back and check how little things they connect or complement each other's story. And that's how much it is important when we bring these stories to life, how you're going to connect, you're going to relate to each one's stories. I say my story, my experience, I can see on many different moms or many different women, because something that I lived, somebody lived, something else I lived, somebody else lived. So we relate on different parts of our story, different part of our path.
Yeah. And I love that you brought that up, because I really was going to actually talk to you about moms, because I know that's part of where you started shifting your focus to empowering moms. And of course, you still, small business owners, you do empower them as well with the video skill sets that you have. But
yeah,
how are moms' needs unique to other people that you've worked with?
Mamas always, like on my experience, when I started feeling related with the other mom stories, it was before Facebook. It was before social media the way it is today. It was 2007. I had an ectopic pregnancy. And then I experienced something that I never heard before. I never heard this word before. I experienced it. And of course, I went to look for it. Google was on already, or Yahoo. I don't remember what, but I think Google was there already. And I found a story because in my real life, I couldn't relate to anyone's story. We have 5 girls at home. All my 4 sisters, they all had kids already, but none of them had experience even similar to mine. One did have like a loss in a pregnancy, but none of the other one or friends that I had, nobody ever heard of that. And then searching to find connection, to find why or what is the hope that I can have now that I have one less tube. I still wanted to have kids. I was 33 years old. And then I found a story very similar to mine. She also had lost a tube. And then she said that she had kids after that. And then that brought me peace, because I said, okay, this happened to other women and they still had kids. And then I was able to move on with my life. And then that story, I don't remember her name. I don't remember exactly where she was from. She was from the US and was on a forum space for moms. So since many times, mom been sharing stories, but right now, even more, we need that in so many different aspects. I just shared a story that I had a conversation with Margie Haddad, and she's in Jerusalem. And all the things that are happening there between Israel and Hamas. And we have all this mom on both sides, like so much suffering, not only the people, but I don't know. I feel that a mom, when they have a child in a situation that they cannot help, like I have chills, you feel that you live in the same situation. You feel that you're living what your kid is living. And a mom, when she's at home, that's already a study that I read recently that says that a woman, she sleeps 90% awake. Like her sleep is not at as much as RPM as much as a man. And then somebody said, imagine a mom. And that's how it is. Like our kid moves, like our kid is close to us, like make a noise, we are up. So we're always alert. And the same way we're doing, like taking care of the house, taking care of the kids, and a working mom. And feeling this not guilt to work and focus on work when you're working, and focus on kids when you're with the kids without worrying about the work. So we all have to learn, like it's not always 50-50, but you need to learn to separate. And when you read this story, when you share these stories, that you are able to do that, or you're struggling with that, you can find other people that can help you find this balance, find this release from guilt. Because if every mom say, oh, I feel guilty, I do, but I feel guilty. But then if I want, no, I don't feel guilty. I'm a working mom. I'm a woman that I work. I have kids. I have a house. I focus my moment. When I work, I'm working. When I'm with them, I'm with them. So when you see the story, okay, I can do that too. I can work and be a mom. All this story. So I love to see that. I love hearing that. I love hearing moms doing this, taking care of the house, working, have a career, having a business. It's so inspiring. It's so empowering. And if a woman, a mom can do that, imagine, their kids, the daughters seeing that is possible. So much better word. And I think a mom brings so much more positivity in doing that. And just one more thing here, when we see a man doing that, we always praise, oh, wow, he's a dad. He takes care of the kid and he works. But when a mom does that, it's kind of expected. So I want to amplify these voices. No, like we do, of course, because we have all the love to do this, but we love to have our career. We love to work. We love to do the other stuff and balance it in a healthy way.
Yeah. Oh, I love what you shared. I think that is so important, that it's not about being limited just because you're a mom, that this is the expectation of what is allowed for you. And like you were saying, we can change the narrative, but like you were saying, when men are aspiring and they're doing all of these things and they're also taking care of their children, if they're a single dad, or if they're just staying home and the mom goes out to work and they're taking turns, or whatever that looks like, it's usually that it's unfortunate, but then the man might be praised above what the mom does, and because it's expected of her. And so why can't it be expected of both parents? I think it should be an expectation on both sides, because you both created this being together. So I love that. So in your experience, what makes for effective storytelling, and how can moms use these skills to connect with and impact their audiences?
The impact story will be first, like you have to find comfortable in sharing whatever you're sharing. I always in different groups that I part of, and I encourage to share the stories. They always like this point, how much you should share, with social media, so much out there. And you need to feel comfortable, whatever you're sharing. And whatever your experience, I think many stories are impactful. And the narrator, when I'm sharing, I might take lead of my story. I might think lead of my story. Oh, I just experienced, many people does that. Or nobody, happened this, or we relate to this, but we don't know. Once we put our story out there, we don't know the impact that can make. And I think as little thing as I'm sharing, I have a child loss. And then we see this all over social media. Oh, I had 3 child loss, I have many child loss and I'm okay. We all experience the things differently. Our strength is different. Our brought up is different. The things that we experience, our feelings, everything. So never take your story for granted. Never think their story will not going to impact anyone. I always think whatever you live, somebody's going to feel related and is going to impact. So I would say every story is impactful. So how can you bring the story in a way that can make more interesting? That's to be the difference. The way you're going to talk, the way you're going to share, the way you're going to prepare yourself. If you're sharing on video, it's going to try to present yourself in a way that you're going to be genuine. If you're a person that never get overdressed or over makeup when you talk to other people, if you're going to bring that to a video, you're going to feel a little uncomfortable, because if you're going to see yourself and more, you're going to look at yourself, that's not really the person that's telling the story. That's kind of like you bring in a character. Yeah, you're going to be genuine. So always try to be as much true to yourself as possible in the way you're going to share. And if you're going to start sharing something, start sharing small until you feel more comfortable. Or if you're writing the story, take time to write and take time to remove things that you can be too long, or can be, I don't know if you have some writing background, you're more like on the self-care. I listen a lot to one coach, a male coach. I just really forgot his name right now, but I'm going to share it if you want to share with your audience later. So he says, one big skill that we can learn is about writing. And if I go on the filmmaking side, on the editing, they say the biggest skill you can learn with the editing is learn to remove. The story is perfect when you don't have anything else to remove from the story. So always learn when you write and what you can remove, how you can make the story rich and still be concise and share enough that you can make the impact. I hope I was able to reply this answer. It's the first time I've been asked this, this
Yeah.
question. It's beautiful.
No, that's okay. And I appreciate it. Your answer is great. So I want to shift the conversation just a little bit and talk about you for a moment. You overcame camera shyness yourself as a mom entrepreneur. So what was your journey to becoming confident on camera? And because of your journey, what advice can you give others who might have shyness of camera or that fear of like, I don't look good enough or I'll never look good enough?
The first fear I experience, and I see on many others, I see on women that I coach, is the fear of judgment. So we always have the way we've been seeing ourselves, our voice. We're not used to listen to our voice. So when we listen to our voice on video, on recording, it does sound differently because it sounds different. We hear from inside and out, like our ear, the way we get our voice is different from other people. So when you get the recording, it's how other people hear us. So our voice, listen to that, and our appearance. Like I myself, my experience was, I have a big nose, I have a crooked tooth, I have a thick accent. Like I gonna be terrible talking on video. And I couldn't bring myself to record video. I did try doing some without the talking. I tried those trends about pointing. And then I felt even more comfortable than the idea of talking on video. So I always wanted to focus on the message because I'm talking about story. I'm talking about sharing experiences. So I did something really hard that was coming on live. And I was praying nobody would show up. But at the same time I was doing that, I was courageous enough to leave those live videos on my account because I wanted to use them as a learning lesson because I was focusing on getting this out, on talking to people and telling them, I can do this. You're going to be able to do too. Without even like kind of training them because I wasn't even focusing in training people to do that. I was training myself and them to share stories. And then I kept doing that. And then I kind of get the idea, I have too much pause. Sometimes I don't know exactly what I'm saying. So the live started being a little bothering me. But I didn't want to go too much on the editing because I have this filmmaking background. I'm going to be editing forever. And I was like, it's going to be too much time. So I went in between. I started recording my videos and I repeated myself. And then I did a few exercises. And the exercise that I help now and I teach the women that I train. So I record the video and then I listen to my voice and I start getting used to my voice talking and to the message. And I start crafting that message, getting better at the way of saying, oh, this is too much. Okay, let's short it up. And I just listen to the message. And then I was looking at myself with the video without listening, just seeing how I was presenting myself, how I was moving on camera. I was like touching my face. I was like moving my hands too much. And I was bringing balance. So then with the editing experience, like the video editing experience that I was getting doing this, I was like, okay, now I know, now I have a little craft and I know how can I help others do that. And I did in a more like, forced time, more time into that. And now I can help people do in a shorter period of time. But the main thing it is, and I was just sharing yesterday on my stories that I recorded a video that I'm going to be sharing today. They're saying the first fear is press and record. Oh, I don't have anybody on the other side. I don't have anyone on the other side to record a video. And I tell them, think about me. Tell me your story. I'm right there on the other side of the camera listening to you. So think about me. If you need to think about someone, think about me. And then look at it and do this recording. Then you're just going to be listening, just the exercise that I just said now. So pressing the record, not going to make your video go live or go on the social media. You have the time to craft and express. And once you start doing that to yourself, just for you, just on your phone, you're going to start being more confident. When you start analyze, okay, I can dress a little different here. I can talk a little better. I can dress a little different here. And I can craft my message just in a way that I want people to listen. And the main thing, we need to start falling in love with our voice, with our accent, the way we talk, because when we feel good about that, we stop thinking about it and we just share our message.
Yeah, I love that because those are unique qualities about you. So embracing them as part of you, like, instead of trying to shut them away somewhere or trying to overcome it and not feeling confident getting on camera because you feel like you have all of these flaws. For me, when I first started going live, gosh, it's been quite a few years when I first started, but it was because I was working with a social media coach, and she had suggested to me a 30-day challenge to go live every day for 30 days. And I really didn't know what I was going to talk about, but I figured it out. And the more I kept doing it, the more I started to like it. And I just kept going. So I found myself like a whole year of going live every day. And I loved it. Over the years, I don't go live every day like I used to. I've cut it back a little bit, but I'm more strategic around it. But it still gave me the confidence because you have to start somewhere and you're not going to get better at something unless you start first. So it has to start somewhere. So I love that you shared your story because, like you were saying, you felt like you had all of these things that could hold you back. So do you
Yes.
let them, or do you just say, you know what, this is me, and just continue to do it? And then leaving it up as a lesson for you to go back. It's actually to go back and actually be able to celebrate how far you've come. But it also shows others like this is where bravery starts. It's doing it even though you're afraid, and not being afraid to leave it there for someone else who is afraid too, because they can see like where you started, and gives them like that gauge of like, oh, wow, you did this and look at where you're at now. So I can really see the difference. So I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Sure. Leslie, one thing I've been sharing, it's borrowed confidence.
Mm-hmm.
So what be borrow confidence? You borrow confidence from you, from something that you did in the past that you didn't think you would be able to do it, and you did. And if you have to go all the way back about thinking the idea that you were a baby, that you didn't walk, you didn't talk, and then because you keep trying and you were able to do that, or a course or a test that you did and you didn't think you would pass, you passed, borrow that confidence. If you don't think about anything that you could borrow that confidence from, borrow from someone else. Get somebody that you get inspired. Oh my gosh, she does that. Get the energy, get the confidence. And this week I shared something that I said that I remember about stress. How can we use even the stress in our favor when we need to do something? Because the stress can help us get this energy to bring when we are sharing something. So we don't like sleepy talking, slow talking. We get the little like, anxiety, but in a good way,
Mm-hmm.
If you use this a little anxiety, the little fear that you're feeling, bring this fear, and the exercise or coming and doing this courage that you're practicing is going to make you confident and doing more and more.
Yeah. I call that my nervous butterflies. Whenever I get nervous on something, I was like, oh, I've got the butterflies, but that's a good thing. It's okay. I'm going to be able to do this. So my last question is, beyond business benefits, in what ways can video and digital storytelling enrich your clients' personal lives and connections with family?
Ah, that's wonderful. Last year, when I got invited to talk, it's a peanut app that's for moms only. You just go inside, you don't have videos, like anything the way we have outside other social media. And then I was experienced to talk about story the same way we're talking here. And then I shared that I didn't realize that I needed some healing about the ectopic pregnancy until I start sharing about it. Years later, it happened 2007. And we are talking now is like, how many years later? I don't even want to do the math. But once I was talking, I said, wow, that was so serious. It was like, I'm a survivor of a life, certainly. Like I was just rushed to the hospital and then I spent a few hours doing exercise. Like, no, we need to do the surgery now. I was trying to save my baby and said, no, you have to save you. And then I didn't get the grasp of the seriousness of that. Really, I was just after I left and I was saying about the story that I was looking to connect. I always looking about just understanding what happened, but I never thought about my life, like how much, I experienced that in life. So when I start sharing, like, oh, wow, yes. So when you start sharing the story, not only you don't know how other people you can impact the story, you don't know how much you need it to share that, how much difference you need in your life by sharing this story. So it's always, you don't know what I think, like, and the story is not something new. It's not something social media. When I started talking about story, about thinking on sharing the stories, I didn't go all the layers of this process that I am today, but it really started. I know the time that it started in 2014 before I had my daughter. And then when I was listening to a documentary that was just playing in my background, and then I haven't found this documentary to kind of go back and listen what it was about. And they were saying the stories come from the times of the first man on earth. We can see on the walls carvings how the stories are being told there without words, just with the drawings, and how people would gather around fireplaces. What do you call? Fireplaces? No. How do you call when you do the
You
firewoods
mean
and
the fire pit? Like a fire pit?
Yeah, or fire pit. Yeah.
Or around the fire.
Yeah, around the fire to talk about story, about experience. So stories always being around us. And the way our story today, what I focus on, of course, there are many stories that can impact people in a negative way, but I focus how the necessity of sharing stories in a positive way. How we can, when we bring the story, our intention has to impact other people in a positive way, not in a negative way. So I focus on that part. I like to bring, even when you share something that not so good happened about you, but if you can bring a positive outcome after your experience, that's the idea of sharing the story. That's the idea, my idea of you sharing the story. Even, okay, it's something that painful that is happening to you right now, you experience it, your sharing story can create a positive impact to you. By sharing, it's going to help you heal. By sharing, it's going to help somebody connect to you and bring that healing to your life. So there's not negative way on sharing your stories to your life, to experience, to family, friends, people on Africa, if you are in the US, people on the other side of the world. So it's always a positive way of sharing your stories.
Yeah, there's healing on both sides, I feel, because you're sharing, and you might even have a common story that you share, obviously a different experience, but you can heal together, especially because you don't know. Like you said, you went in to do a talk and you found that you really actually still needed some healing. So I really appreciate that you shared that story. Thank you so much for joining me today and sharing your expertise in video storytelling, your personal story, your unique passion for helping others find confidence and purpose through online video is coming through so clearly in just the talk that we've had today. And I hope our listeners really feel motivated to start sharing their own stories and voices after hearing your inspirational journey, because I feel, like you, that video can enrich both our businesses and our families in meaningful ways that we're not even aware of. I'll make sure to include your contact information in the show notes for anyone who wants to learn more. And I want to thank you again for your time and your wisdom today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leslie. Thanks for having me.
And to our listeners, thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope Simone's message inspires you to embrace video storytelling to connect, uplift, and inspire. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep believing, and keep designing your extraordinary life one day at a time. Thank you for joining me on Her Extraordinary Life by Design. I hope you've been inspired and empowered by the incredible stories shared on this show. If you enjoyed this episode and the conversations we've had, I would greatly appreciate if you could take a moment to leave a review. Your feedback and support mean the world to me, and it will help others discover the podcast and join our empowering community. Remember to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an episode. Together, we can continue to learn from these amazing women, uncover their extraordinary journeys, and be motivated to create our own lives by design. Thank you again for tuning in. Until next time, stay empowered and keep shaping your extraordinary life one day at a time.
Ever thought about starting your own podcast?
Do you have a business or a message you want to share with the world?
Well, now it's easier than ever with Electricast. Hi, I'm Mark Netter.
And I'm Peter Rafelson. We're the founders of Electricast Media.
Whether you want to start a new podcast or already have one, join Electricast to grow your audience, monetize your content, and build your community.
With our simple sign-up, you get free promotion, world-class analytics, premium ads, and personal support.
Go to electricast.com and join our community today.
Electricast. Transform your influence.
Electricast.
Have you ever wondered what actually happens in Congress every day? Stay informed on Capitol Hill's daily happenings with a concise, factual summary of the Senate and House of Representatives activities from the previous session, free from bias, on the Congressional Record Daily Digest podcast. Subscribe on your favorite podcast platform and discover the process from the heart of U.S. politics. The Congressional Record Daily Digest, an Electricast production.
Electricast. Electricast.